So I just downloaded the Xcode 3 days ago, and basically I'm going to be showing you all that I happen to understand and throughout the whole Xcode, the environment, how it looks like, some of the properties, what you can basically do with the Xcode. So I'll try as much as possible to keep it short and very informative. So if you're a novice like me, this video is for you, and if you're a professional as well, you can also drop tips on how the Xcode have really helped you some swift shortcuts. So before I proceed, the Xcode is an environment used to build iOS application, tvOS, macOS, everything related to Apple. So if you're looking towards creating app for Apple development, then definitely you'll be needing Mac and as well the Xcode. So let's first thing you want to do, like I said, I've downloaded mine, but I'm just going to show you the first process to go through. So you go to your Chrome, right? Yeah, this is Chrome. So what you want to do is you want to put Xcode in the search, right? And there are different lists, right? But you want to click on the first one, and that is the Apple site for getting your Xcode. Now this is it, right? You're going to be getting infos about the Xcode, but let me just read it. Xcode offers the tools you need to develop, test, and distribute app for Apple platforms, including predictive code completion, generative intelligence powered by the best coding models and agents, advanced profiling and debugging tools, and simulators for Apple device. So in a world where AI is, taking over, most environments actually have the AI, artificial intelligence, into their environment. So to help, and for Xcode, predictive code completion and best coding models and agents. So I'm going to be showing that as well. Also, simulators for Apple devices. So if you're an Apple developer and you don't have a mobile device like the iPhone, or iPad, I don't know, but the simulator actually helps. Now before you want to go ahead to download, right, this is where you come to, you click on Xcode. Remember, it is above 7 gigs, so be prepared. If you know you don't have enough data to download it, then get more, because this 3 gig here is just for you to get the Xcode. There are still some other things you'll be needing to download, like the simulators. That is if you don't have the Android device, but I'll suggest you also download the simulators because it actually helps. Now the next thing you want to do, you can go through this way, viewing Mac App Store. So let's just close this, let's minimize this, we go to the App Store, yeah, and we can just search Xcode. So like the normal way you want to download app. So when you click on Xcode, you're going to see open, because I've actually downloaded mine. But if you've not downloaded yours and it's your first time, you're going to see what they call this icon here in place of this open. So you click on it, then you download. So let's dive right into Xcode. So I'm just going to close this. Now this is my Xcode icon. It looks like an hammer that you're trying to hit onto something. So what you're going to see create new projects, clone Git repository, open existing projects. So these are just basically options for you to carry out. So if you have a repo you're supposed to clone from GitHub, you can actually come here and click on it. And if you are an existing developer, you have apps, projects you've worked on, you just click on open existing project. Or as newbie, let's dive into create new project. So now when you click on create new project, this is the screen you're going to see different options. And the platform, like when we went to Xcode website, right, the Apple developer website, we saw it supports different platforms. So we have the iOS, macOS, watchOS, tvOS, visionOS, and so on. But we want to build app for the iPhone, so we leave it on iOS, or let's just leave it as iOS. So these are different things you can do. You can playground, you can document app, but let's just go into app. What you want to do is Now that we are here, what you want to do is you want to go to the product name, right? Name your app. Let's say my my first app, right? And now for your team, it's gonna depend on your development team, right? And we move down to the organization identifier. Now, if we clear this off, you can see what we have dot your company dot the product name, right? What you have to do is just, let's say your organization name is Alpha. You're gonna leave it as Alpha. My first app is just like a website here about, but not necessary. But you have to put the organization name identifier. Now, for your interface, there are different ways of building apps on the Swift on the Xcode, right? So basically, we make use of Swift UI or Storyboard. Now, Swift UI is actually programmatic, and they make use of the language Swift, right? Storyboard is more like people would say drag and drop, where you have all this police FBI detective, right? And you're trying to like map out different things. So that's what a storyboard actually looks like. So for we are going to make use of storyboard, or you can also make use of Swift UI, but I'm leaving it as storyboard. The language basically is Swift, right? Testing system. Now, if you want to test your UI and test all your logic, you can put it, right? But I'm not going to need that now because I'm just going to show you how the environment works. Storage, core data, like you can see, yeah, but we're leaving it as none. So we'll click on to next. Now you can select wherever location you want your app to go to. Is it your desktop, your home screen, whatever, different folders or document, downloads, but I'm just going to leave it at desktop, right? And yes, we just click create, and boom, you are inside Xcode. Now it's kind of look pretty cool, right? But before then, let's just see how all this works. Now, this first folder here is talking about your project, general signing capabilities, resource tags, info, build settings, build phases, but we don't want to mess anything here. But we just go to general, and you can see minimum deployment iOS 22, 26.2, see previous version, right? But currently we're on iOS 26.2, so let's just leave that. Right. So your app category, you can see whatever place you want to put it, display name, your bundle identifier. This is more like your organization identifier. Then version build, when you hear version 2.0, yeah, that's what it actually works. Now deployment info. Does your app going to support landscape or portrait? So let's just leave it at portrait, right? You can see both for the iPad orientation, we're just leaving a portrait, right? And yes, that is that for the first folder. So this folder is your project, right? And it's going to house other folders that make up your project, just like app delegate, scene delegate. So basically it's showing the life cycle of your app. Did your screen launch? Did it connect? Right? You can see, will it resign? Will it enter foreground? Will it enter background? So this is just like the life cycle state of your app. And yes, launch screen is basically the first thing you see when you open your phone, right? So if I log on an app, right? Let's say I open let's say I open Udemy. You see this first thing that shows is the launch screen, right? So I don't know if you can see. So it's still loading, right? This is the loading state. Now you see it enters the main screen. So that first screen that pop up is the launch screen. So the main screen is basically the next screen. That's what you want the user to do. Is it sign up? Is it log in? Basically the beginning of the flow of the app. Now info is going to show all about your app. You can see when we search project, right? When we click on the project, you see info build setting is basically same thing as that. And assets is where you're going to get your app icon, right, when your launch screen starts. Accent color, if you're making use of gradients on your app, you can mix your color, and you can also add images, right? So if I come here to my photos and let's just see this, and I drag it into Xcode, right, you can see whenever I want to use this image, it's already the app asset. I can just let me rename it. So let me rename it logo, right? So whenever I need the logo, I can just use the code and make use of logo. So what else? App delegates, also the same thing as your scene delegate, but they work differently. And now let's just move to the launch screen. Let's run something. Now, yes, we said when we download the Xcode, we're going to have simulators, right? So let me, if you check here, this is alpha here, it's showing that a phone is supposed to be connected, but it's not. So if I run the app from here, basically without any code, it's going to say build field. And it's not just because there is no code, right? It's because it's not connected. Now I have to select the device I want to run it on. So let's say iPhone 17. It's selected now. This is where you see your simulators. This is where you view the status of whatever thing you ran. And let's just build. Now you can see it's showing building, right? And yes. So you're gonna see my simulator is gonna come up soon. So it's building 50/64. You can see build succeeded. So if I should check, there's a simulator running, and you can see this is what the simulator looks like. So the app is being installed now, and you can see attaching to my first app on iPhone 17. Now it has run, right? The launch screen and the main screen are shown, so that's why it's showing it running. But now, how do I differentiate between my launch screen and my main, right? So that's why I imported that image. So let me reduce this. So basically, this simulator works like an iPhone, right? You can see I can minimize, right? It's basically going to work like my iPhone. I can check photos. You see, it's the same thing, right? Basically working like an iPhone. Let's just leave this. So see the volume button, right? You can increase, you can reduce. Now let's just go back to my first app. So let me reduce the size of this. So let me reduce the size of this iPhone simulator. So now this is our launch screen, right? This is our launch screen. Now how do I bring a logo to show? So first thing, I'll have to bring here to this point. This is where you bring out different tools. Let me just call it tools. This is how you do your drag and drop. So your page control, your progress view, activity indicator, switch, different views, right? Label, text, right? Button. These are already pre-programmed, predefined. So if you don't want to make use of this, you can head up to your view controller and actually code whatever you want to code to get that thing you want. So basically, let's just make use of it. Launch screen. Now I want to bring in a logo, but I'll need a view. So that's why I'm going to search the image view and I drag and drop. Now you see. Now if you check here, this is relating to all the attributes, size, or whatever you're bringing into your storyboard. This is called a storyboard, right? And if you check this sign here, this is what they call the app entry, right? Storyboard entry points. When you log in your app, when your app starts, launches your app, this is the first thing you're going to see. So now let's just click on the image view. This is the attribute inspector. This is the size inspector. Just for me to show you, shows you the size of whatever thing you're working on. You can see the frame is a rectangle, right? Now the connection inspector, when you connect all your IV outlets. Don't worry, we'll come back to that. But this is an identity inspector, right? This is called a file inspector. Now you can see the name of the file is a launch screen storyboard. That is this file is named launch screen. As you can see, if I go to main, it's going to change main storyboard. If I go to view controller, view controller. So let's just stay on the launch screen, and let's add our image. So now I click on my image, right? Then you can see this is an image, and that image I brought in from my asset logo. I'm going to be putting it on the launch screen. So I click on the image view, I come here, image, and I search it. That was why I renamed it, so I can search. So this is it. Now if I run the app, remember the launch screen is not meant to stay for long, right? And the main is going to show after the launch screen, just some split seconds. So you have to be fast to watching this. So let me just stop running this before, and let me zoom this out. Okay, let me zoom this out so you can see. So if I run, you can see it's building, build succeeded, and you can see the launch screen. Now is the main screen, right? This is the main screen. Now if I say, let me just change the background just for you to know that that's the main screen. This is the main. I can just come here on the main view, click the view, change the system background to system blue color, right? So you see our launch screen is white, the background, our main screen is blue. So let's stop and run the app again. The launch screen, main screen. So that is how you do this. So before I move on to the next thing, let me just build the main, right? Let me just drag and drop. So if I bring up a button, I click, oh, I can't see this. So let me change the background to something. What color should we give? Let's just give it green. And this is our button, right? This is our button. So let's give it a foreground color of, that will be the text, right? Let's give it a foreground color of brown. You see, it changes. So let's give it a foreground color of, what color actually goes with, let's just leave it at red. So you see it. And let me try to change the background. So custom fill, let's give it blue. Now you can see this is how we change. Then you can also duplicate for two buttons. Command D is what you use to duplicate, right? So we have two buttons. Now let's just bring in another field. Let's bring in text field. So you can just search text field. So if you bring it out, right, this is one. So right, and let's just put our button just here. Now this is what we have, right? Now if we run this, you're gonna see that it might be scattered because it's not really constrained, right? If you don't have all these items on your screen constrained, it's gonna be shaking, right? It's just like you put an egg without gluing it on a pan. When you move, it's gonna shake, it's gonna overflow. So we'll stop building, we run, right? This is our launch screen, this is it, right? It's kind of stable now because there are no much items on it. But let me just say I constrain this, I constrain the button. So constrain is restricting an item to a particular position on the screen. So let's say I bring this down. Okay, let me just leave this up and show you. So if I bring this down to the view, constrain to the button space safe area, and I let this to be like 20 20. You can see I'm making my edit on the attribute inspector. We've added the constants, that is from the attribute inspector, which is this, right? You can see we put it to 20. Now if I say let me just increase it further to, let's say, 50, you see it adjusts, right? But now if I run this, is this gonna show like this on the main app? Now let's just run. Now you can see there is space, there is a kind of distance between the edge of the phone to the other side of the button, but on your app there is no distance. So that is because we didn't add a constant, a constraint. But let me just add that so you see how it works. So I'm going to make a whole video about constraint, but for today I just want to show you why constraint is important to your items on the screen. So if I drag to the view and I put leading is to the left, trailing is to the right, facing your computer. So now you can see this, right? If I click on it, the distance is 106. I can just put it to let's say 50, right? I press enter, you see it adjusts. Now if I run it, so like I was saying, if we check our screen before, after running the app, there was no space. But on my storyboard, now that I've included this, that's the distance. If I come here, we check our attribute inspector, you're gonna see this, right? And whatever constraints you're putting, you're gonna be seeing it here, right? You're gonna be seeing it here. So you can just select and you see that, okay, yes, this constraint is button leading, that is this, to safe area leading, that is on this side. Then safe area button, that is the down of your screen. But safe area means there's going to be some space, not to the edge of your screen. Now for bottom, that is button. This is the distance. So if you click on it, it's going to highlight either ways. Now I've added this safe area leading and I gave it to, let's just leave it to 70, right? Now you have to rebuild your app in order for these changes to show. So let's rebuild. Long screen, main screen. Now you see it's exactly look like what we have on our storyboard on our app. So constraint is very important when you're working with anything that comes with the UI, right? Anything that deals with the UI. Else your app will just be shaky. You see your folder here, you see your folder here, some will overlap on each other. So it's very important for you to always constrain your UI, right? Put constraint, very important. Back to our storyboard, I've shown you how we worked on our main, how we worked on our launch screen when we brought in this image. So this is where you stop running the app, right? So if you click here, okay, it's already stopped. So if you click here, it's going to stop running the app. Now if you click there, it's going to build the app again. You can see it builds the app again. So yes, this is the name of the app you're working on. This is your simulator. Let's say you're not interested in making use of the iPhone 17 again. You want to change to another device and see how it appears on other screens, because it's necessary for you to test other devices as well. So you can just come here. Let's expand this. Where we have iPhone SE Gen. Okay, now let's say it was on iPhone 17 Pro, right? You can come here to where you change your simulator and just select iPhone SE. If it's iPhone SE you want to test on, then you build succeeded, and you can see this is our iPhone SE. This is how it's going to look on iPhone SE. So it's going to be different on other screens as well. So we can as well select it again, and let's say we run on iPad, let's run. since we did iPad Air now. So you can see this is the iPad Air. So you can run different simulator devices, right? But make sure your Mac that you're using is fast so it doesn't lag, because too much simulators actually, like, they eat up space, they consume space. So this is how it's going to look like on the iPad. Now that is for that. Now that we are done with knowing how we can change our simulating devices, we've known the launch screen, what it's for, we've known the main, we've known the scene delegate, the view controller. If you want to do your whole thing programmatic, you don't need the launch screen, the main. You're going to delete that and just focus on your code. And notwithstanding, you still have to make use of code when you're using the launch screen. The storyboard. You have to make use of code because there are some things you might need to tweak and connect. Like, for instance, now we come on this main, right? We want to give this button an action. Now in your view controller, right? I'm very sure you might have done all your research on the fundamentals, and you know that a button is supposed to carry out an action. So what you do is, let me expand this. So we have our main, and you want to split the screen into two, where you can see your code and your screen, your storyboard. So you come here and you drop in on the right, and this is the controller, you can see. So now we're going to drag our button to here, and that is where you name your button primary button BTN, just for shortcut. And now this is already a method, and you can see it's connected, right? Whenever I point on it here, it shows on my storyboard that there is a connection here, right? And you can see this IB outlet with our secondary button is the predefined intelligence that we're talking about when Xcode have that AI inbuilt. So it's going to give you suggestions. So if you want to add a secondary button, because there are two buttons, you can actually do that and connect. So you connect here, and we just name it camel casing, please, secondary BTN. And you can see it's connected, and if you come here, it highlights. Now if you want to check if everything shows on your storyboard, right, you come here, open it, you check our file, a connector inspector. You can see we have secondary button connected, all right, and this is primary button connected. So that's that for basically what you might be using most of the times in the Xcode. Now if it's your first time to make use of the Xcode or seeing the Xcode environment, yeah, before I move on to that, let me show you how you can make use of your AI on this. So you can see here coding assistance, coding intelligence, supercharge your Xcode experience with built-in intelligence and your choice of model. So if you want to make use of Claude, you want to make use of ChatGPT, any AI that you know, or Zalpha AI, you can actually come here, you set up, and you can see ChatGPT in Xcode, Claude in Xcode. ChatGPT actually is turned on, and you can just click turn on, and this is add a model preview provider. So whatever model that you know about, you can add it. So that's that. I'm just gonna cancel this, cancel. So if it's your first time to know about the Xcode, don't forget to like, as well as say in the comments what you feel. How is it different from other coding environment? Did Apple really do well with their Xcode? For me, I'm really impressed seeing Xcode this way. It's not really too busy. It's not, and the fact that the simulator actually comes when you download the Xcode, you have to download the simulator, is a very big savior for most people that don't have the iPhone devices. You know, iPhone is very costly. So if you don't have, you can make use of this. It doesn't stop you from not building that app and sending it to the App Store. In our next video, I'm going to be talking more about basically we can start with constraints and things you need to know, what I found out using the Xcode, because I'm still going to be trying more of it. Don't forget to like and stay tuned for more videos. See you in the next.